to talk about some meditation. We're going to talk about some inspiration. If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. Putting ourselves in a place where we utilize our mentality, where we utilize our ability, where we utilize our focus inside. Uh, we start looking at how we start to have self-acceptance, how we start to have self-ability, how we start to truly overcome the challenges that we're facing off against, start getting into a positive place, start vibrating at a higher vibration, a higher self, a higher being. And so we start looking at the things that we're facing off against, and we start looking at how we have the ability to overcome them, and we start to see that kind of a vibration start to work. So like always, is what I'm doing today, is it motivation, is it meditation, is it inspiration? If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. You can view my videos on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, podcasts as well here. And what we're going to be targeting today, and what today is going to help you to be able to do, is to open up that kind of mindset, to start to ask yourself the types of questions that nobody else can for you today, and to start to see how we can start to understand our own challenges and have the ability to overcome them for ourselves. So uh, what I utilize on a daily is the ability to focus to the point, to use the challenges that I might have gone through, the stories that I might have faced off against, that they might help you to overcome your own challenges, that they truly might help you to find yourself inside of who you are, to start to see that there is possibility that you can overcome the things you're going through, that you can be who you are on the inside, and that what you're facing off against, you have the ability to overcome. So, who of you out there is having challenges? Who of you out there is facing off against something today that you might think is impossible, facing off against something that you don't know if you can overcome? And so, each day that we put ourselves in that kind of a place where we start to focus to that level, where we truly start to be who we are on the inside, where with the way that we wake up, the places that we wake up, the mentality that we utilize. And today we're going to start to recognize that. We're going to start to get down to that kind of vibration where we're utilizing focus at that level. And so how do you start to put yourself in that place? As people know, my Discipline 101 is almost at 1,000 people for the group. And, you might be asking yourself, how do you work through those kind of challenges when other things are working against you? And it's when you give yourself a little bit of time each day. It's when you give yourself a place inside of who you are. It's when you sit down for just a moment and you vibrate. When you give yourself the time to absorb and truly focus on what matters. And see, a lot of people don't give themselves that time to have that kind of a breath. They don't give themselves that kind of a place to use that kind of ability inside of who they are, that kind of mentality, that kind of being. And see, when we start to do that, when we start to sit down at that level inside of ourselves, that's when we start to achieve our dreams. That's when our goals start to become possible. That's when our ability inside of ourselves starts to open up. And it's when we focus at that level that things become possible. You see, when's the last time you thought about what you wanted to achieve? When's the last time you focused to that point where the things that you're going through, you have the ability to overcome? And so those are the types of questions that I asked, and it was me trying to find that made me realize I wanted to help you to do that as well. It was me trying to find that sat down in a room for the first time, or sat down in a car, or slept in a car, or believed that it was possible. See, and when we do that inside of ourselves, when we truly sit down at that level of grind, when we give ourselves that place, we give ourselves that ability, when we master that part of who we are, when we truly focus to that piece to where the universe becomes our friend. Okay? And so I'm here looking through my my messages and stuff, and I'm seeing a guy on the Twitch asking, what kind of books did you buy? How did you get to that point to start to understand that? And it's not in a book, because you are the book. Okay, your stories, your challenges, your ability to focus, to overcome the things that you want to overcome, they're already there. Okay, they're already in front of you. They're already asking you the questions. They're asking you if you have the ability, if you can overcome your challenges, right? And you see, a lot of people, that's what they face off against daily. They're facing off against their ability inside of themselves to start to ask those types of questions. And each of us has challenge. You tell me one person that doesn't have challenge. It's not that we don't have challenge. It's that the people that succeed at the things that they want to do focus to utilize their challenge, to utilize their mentality, to utilize their ability inside of who they are. Because each of us, we face off against that part of ourselves. And it's inside of recognizing that we can choose to be positive. It's not when somebody else makes a choice for you, okay? It's not when somebody else tells you to do this or to do that it truly starts to open up inside of yourself. It's when you start to know it, when you start to focus into it, when you start to put yourself in a place where nobody else can go. And so in that place, people won't recognize you. They're not going to know who you are, because that's you truly being yourself. That's who you are on the inside. That's the person that you are vibrating outwards. See, when you start to truly vibrate at that part of your being, when you truly start to utilize that ability inside of yourself, people are not going to recognize you. Okay? They're going to say you changed, when really you haven't changed. You've always been who you are, and you always will be who you are on the inside. So how do we start to utilize that? How do we start to become that kind of a tool? How do we start to use those kind of gifts? How do we start to use those kind of challenges? See, I don't want to change people on the face of the planet. I want them to be who they are, that other people will see change. Okay? Hearing what I'm saying, if you listen to the message of exactly what I'm talking about, and this is why a lot of people who do meditation get blockage. You see, it's not that you are not learning about you. It's that other people are learning about who you truly are. It's not that you're facing off against challenges alone. It's that everybody is facing off against challenges, and everybody has things to work on. So what kind of tools can we use? What kind of actual things? Brainstorm with me for a minute. If you know you have challenges, can you prepare yourself for the challenges? Can you put yourself in a place where you can gain mental ability to overcome the challenges, where what you're going through, you have the ability to bypass and grow and to understand and to overcome? When does that part start to matter? And that's the type of stimulation that I'm talking about today. It's in the mind. Okay? It's not on the outside. It's how you put yourself in a part of who you are. It's when you sit down with yourself and you start to study. When you want to achieve something for you, it's different than other people, okay? And the reason why it's different is because you achieve it and you start to feel that your focus moves the things that are not meant for you out of the way. And so how do we start to prepare our mind to that level? What are some of the tools that you can use? What are some of the things? Can you use vision boards? Can you use the ability to put yourself in places that are going to bring you in that direction? Can you put yourself in the ability to overcome those kind of challenges inside of yourself? And you see, it's when you're doing that, it's when you're in that kind of mentality that you start to